I'm Jen Soska.
And I'm Sylvia Soska.
And we're the Soska Sisters, and you should be watching The Opinionated Monsters.
Welcome to the Opinionated Monsters. I'm Scott McClellan of Carnival Diablo.
I'm Sonzi from OttawaHorror.com.
I'm Kevin the Zombie King from ZombieInfo.com.
And I'm Jessica, Mayor of Halloween Town.
Halloween. A time when the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children. It's time again. It's a countdown. A countdown to our favorite time of year.
Halloween. As far as movies set around this time of year, I mean, there are two that I really, really enjoy. The first is the great Trick or Treat, or Trick or Treat. Basically what it is it's 4 shorter stories that all have a common thread in them. They're actually all done by the same director, but each one follows a different set of characters, all coming to rest in this sort of through line with a little character called Sam Hain. And
he kind of looks like Sackhead.
He does look like Sackhead. It's great. He's cute. He looks like Charlie Brown if you put a bag over his head.
I should say he's cute, but I don't want him visiting me.
No, you definitely don't want him visiting you. If for those of you who ever had any doubt that kids are creepy, Sam ranks pretty close up there on the number one.
I volunteer to babysit said creepy child because Sam is probably the only kid that I probably could relate to.
Well, that'd be cool because I'd like to see him stab you. One of my other favorite ones that most people forget actually is a Halloween movie, is Donnie Darko. When I first saw this movie, it kind of blew my mind.
It blows everybody's mind.
It blows everybody's mind, but I guess being a fan of Dali and surrealism, I really got what they were going for there. And the whole twist around at the end and the temporal loop, for lack of a better term, I love that movie, and everybody forgets that's a Halloween movie. That rabbit is a Halloween costume, and it takes place during a Halloween party.
Why are you wearing that stupid rabbit suit, Frank? Why are you wearing that stupid human suit?
Exactly, brilliant. The sequel with the sister.
Well, that one really blew.
Just a note: just because a movie does well in a cult setting doesn't mean you need to do a sequel, Hollywood. Okay? We're good on this concept? Yeah? Thank you.
Halloween, of course, is, a wonderful time of year. You get to dress up, you get to be somebody else. I mean, you get to be a monster, you get to be slutty anything, apparently.
I was actually thinking this year I might go as slutty George Washington.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm saying. One year we actually thought we saw a slutty Edgar Allan Poe. It turns out it was just a horrible drag queen.
I would say it's weird not to pick the original Halloween because, of course, Halloween had its 25th anniversary and 30th anniversary and, I don't know, it's heading towards its 50th anniversary. I'm sure they're going to re-release it a million times. But I actually really, really, really attached myself to Halloween 2. It's the first time a sequel pretty much picked up seconds after the movie was over. That's true. One of the very first times. And it made... to me, it makes Halloween the movie into a 3-hour opus. I just love the way that it sort of went to a logical place because it followed what would happen to the victim. Go to the hospital, get some trauma happening. What would happen to, the investigation? How would it continue? Would it not continue? The Donald Pleasance angle. I mean, Donald Pleasance is awesome, Just gotta say it.
Best Loomis.
Best Loomis ever. And I would be completely remiss if I didn't say, again, where a movie and a sequel, to me, sort of blend together fairly well. That's Creepshow. Creepshow 1 and 2. He basically is, in 1, he's outlawed from going out trick-or-treating. And stays in and reads the Creepshow comic. And we get a great anthology. I think Halloween actually is the perfect time for the anthology movie. Now, Creepshow 2, of course, only really has 2 really standout, parts to it, and that's got to be what I've mentioned before, which, of course, is, The Raft, which is a Stephen King short story, and, of course, The Hitchhiker. Thanks for the ride, lady. Crazy. I can't get that out of my head. But Halloween, again, lots of different stuff out there, lots of great, films, movies, books, everything, and television specials. Charlie Brown, Great Pumpkin.
What I love about Halloween is that it's the only time of year I can really go out and buy home decor for my house. So I definitely take advantage of that when I can.
Especially the sales afterwards.
Oh yes, November 1st. Hello, home decor shopping. My number one Halloween movie is actually Disney's horror comedy Hocus Pocus. It's a movie about a group of kids who accidentally bring a family of long dead evil witches back to life on Halloween night. As a kid, it was the right mix of lighthearted and spooky. As an adult, the movie's not as scary. It's a lot of fun, though. I really like watching the witches kind of adjusting to modern life, from taking the bus. I love the part where the witches are trying to fly away on the brooms and the one gets stuck with the vacuum cleaner. I love that. There's also one scene that, even though I know it's coming, every time hits me right in the feels. And if you've seen this movie and if you've ever had a pet, I think you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. And that's all I can say because it is just,
well, it's
right
Disney.
in the feels.
It's Disney.
It is, and it's actually the Disney movie that taught a generation of kids what a virgin was. It also taught me to keep salt nearby at all times, just in case.
And never, ever, ever bring a trio of witches back from the dead.
Even if it's just accidentally, generally to be avoided.
Especially if Bette Midler is one of them.
I'll tell you though, the movie is actually worth watching, if only for Bette Midler's amazing rendition of I Put a Spell on You. So another horror movie that sort of ties into that by having a very interesting hook for songs is Lady in White. Now, I actually have no recollection of when I first saw this movie. I don't remember when, where, with whom I saw it. I just remember it being an amazing movie. It's about a young boy who's locked in his school supply cupboard overnight on Halloween. While there, he witnesses this ghostly apparition of a young girl being murdered 10 years prior. He soon finds that he's being stalked by the murderer. It's part horror movie, part thriller. It's a little funny as well. In tone, I think it's very, very similar to Something Wicked This Way Comes, in that it's, very nostalgic. It's sort of a fun, creepy, atmospheric, simple story. It doesn't rely on, big convoluted storylines or, on big flashy special effects. It's just, a good old-fashioned ghost story. The end little bit where the credits are about to roll, they actually have the little girl singing Bing Crosby's Did You Ever See a Dream Walking? So creepy. Oh my gosh. Anything, I think, sung by a kid, terrifying.
Yeah.
I love Halloween. I do. I love the whole thing. But I mean, the movie Halloween was one of my first horror movies that I actually dug. It was a really great film because it was technically the first real slasher. Even though Norman had slashed a bit in the bathroom and all that, I feel that this was the actual stalking slasher film.
It was really the birth of the slasher craze.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was
also the most
exciting and frightening because Michael Myers stopped, for some odd reason, being just a human and became a real psychopath.
Yeah.
And somehow, even at a young age, I understood that this was a monster, a psychopathic monster. One of the things that really excited me also about it was the music. You see, John Carpenter wrote a riff that is so cool that I don't think any rock band could come up with a riff this good. You know?
I think there's 3 different notes in
He
the
used
entire
to-
thing.
Well,
and
he used to write with
so
Alan
good.
Howarth, and they actually recorded that theme in Alan Howarth's personal studio. What's interesting about those riffs and the music is how intuitive they both were on what would set the tone for this kind of thing.
I think Carpenter had reinvented the way horror music was to be heard. It's, for me, the ultimate Halloween movie. But you know what? I'll tell you something. There is one movie that everybody seems to hate, but for some reason I embraced, and that's Halloween 3. And I'll tell you why. You see, I understood what John Carpenter was doing at a young age. Of
course.
I knew that he was trying to make this franchise more interesting than just based on one character.
Story. No, one story.
Yeah.
He wanted to tell different
Sure.
stories around
and he
Halloween.
arced that
Yeah.
immediately into a completely different realm. And the thing that excited me about this film was there was no Michael Myers. Instead, there was these incredible robot people that wore black rubber gloves that were just as frightening. And at the beginning, when that guy falls on the ground, the old man, and they pull his skull
nose,
forward.
yeah.
I have never seen anything so visually gross in my life, and I'm still hard pressed to find something like that in any film that makes you just go, oh. This was a very scary film. The idea that children put on this mask and then this wonderful little ditty would be played on TV, and then a Halloween pumpkin would flash off and on, and it would make the kids' heads completely atrophy and become filled with bugs and snakes and maggots. And it was just, what a horrid thing to do to billions of children. But his thought was, it's time to bring down the world population.
There is one thing, though, to be said about, anyone who buys a silver shamrock mask. Hey, free piece of Stonehenge, right?
It's a good deal.
That's true.
You own a piece of history. Not for very long, but you own a piece of history.
Then you are history.
Well, yeah.
That being said, watch us next week and don't forget to wear your masks.
That's our show for this week. Tell us your Halloween traditions and whatevers in the comments.
Subscribe to us here on YouTube, and don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter. Tell your friends. Tell your mama.
Tell your mama, Halloween's coming.